Okay, so basically all we're going to do first is create an FLA file that we can use later. What I did here was just put a folder on my desktop to find everything easier later on, and then just save that, name it whatever you want, into that folder. So we're getting ready to add the SWC and ANE files. This is the GitHub, so if you just follow the link to this, you'll have all the files here. So just go ahead and download the zip and then extract it from the downloads folder into the folders that you put on your desktop or whatever you're saving everything to. You'll see later on that we also have a folder called local notifications. That was just a folder that Alertsa gave us that contained more files that we'll need later on to make everything work. So here's us just downloading the SWCs and ANE files. Each time you add a new one, you're going to press the plus button, so it'll start a new line and that you can keep adding things onto it while keeping the window open. For SWC, you'll pick the little icon that looks like it has an F on it, and then the one next to that is for the ANE files. The files you should have at the end of this are just your override SWC, override ANE, local notification SWC, local notification ANE, and then Android support full, which is just the one we picked, ANE. Once we're done, we're going to click that OK button and head on over to create a new class file. Again, name this whatever you want, just keep it in the same folder that you created for this whole project. So we're just going to come over and add a few lines of code so that this will actually run when we try to test it. We have to test it before really doing anything, so it'll create an XML file for your app, and then we'll use that later to implement everything as well. So basically we're going to go back to the FLA file, and then under properties panel there's class. You're going to write the name of your class in there so that these two are connected to each other. Now we're just going to go ahead and test that, so it'll create the XML file we'll need later, like I said previously. So now in your folder you should see an XML file that was created for you. You're going to go ahead and open that in whatever you want. I chose Dreamweaver. And mine didn't load correctly, but whatever's there is what you're going to work with. Now we're just going to jump back to GitHub to find the XML that we'll need. We just copied and pasted all the manifest stuff from this URL into our own XML, and then that should work just fine for you guys. Alright, so you copied and pasted that into it and everything. Now we're just going to go through the code real. So just looking over the code, it's just saying that you're allowing everything to import so that it'll work correctly with the extension files that you've had before. I noticed an error. It shouldn't be public function second app. It should be actually public function local notifications. That is our bad. And then the notification.init is just calling that init function below, and then you're just going to add an event listener to start that app function. So here it's just private function start app, which has the init in it. Then function on notify invoked. This is just trace statements to let you know that if the notification went out, what the number of that notification is, the ID, and then if the app is active at the time of the notification dispatch. Then you actually have your private function init, and in that is just notification.listener for add event listener. That's just saying, like, if it's invoked, boom, there you go, create that notification, dude. So just scrolling down to the last function, that's your public function create notification. This is pretty simple. I think we coded out everything for you guys to understand it better, but basically the settings.notification ID, we set that to 3. If you set the new notifications to the same ID, that'll just override the old one, so you won't get that anymore. You have your title and your message that you can set, and then setting.time is how much time you want between the notification popping up. So like it could be 5 seconds or it could be 1 second, whatever you want, you can adjust there. Now that that's all the way, we're going to go ahead and try to test this. What we did is, because you can't use the emulator for this, you have to plug in your phone and then go to manage devices, and there should be an option for your phone to be plugged in. Just click that and then wait for it to publish, and then you'll have your finished result at the end. The warning at the end always comes up no matter what, so if you get that, totally fine. It's like awesome. And this is just a slide showing you what it would look like. It also vibrates. When you get a notification, it'll take you back to the app, and you can specify the amount of time before the notification is pushed, like I mentioned before. So after all this is done, you have an app ready to go that does local notifications. So that's pretty much all there is to it.